Well, we are in the middle of a series. If you are visiting with us, let me give you a little bit of background to the series. We are talking about how to love one another in our body, our spouses, our family, our friends, our neighbors, our community, and loving people into the kingdom. We're titling this Loving the High S. The reason we say a high S, is that a little loud for y'all? Yeah, is that right here? It seems echoey. Maybe y'all are fine. The S stands for a steadiness type of personality. We are using a personality study that uses letters that represent different words. A D stands for dominance, so a D personality. I stands for influencing personality. S for steadiness, and C for compliance. And that people use those letters to use the acronym DISC. And so this is a DISC study just because of those letters. And so we've done the D, we've done understanding the high D or dominant personality, and then the next sermon was loving the high D, and then understanding the high I and loving the high I. And then last week we did understanding the high S, and we're doing loving the high S this week. It stems from our mission statement to in love, develop and equip disciples of Christ to the glory of God. And it focuses upon right now the first part of this, the in love, which comes from the great commandment that Jesus gave, where he says, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and also love your neighbor. And he says this is what the whole law is focused upon. This is what we're here for, is to love God and love others. And if that's the case, and this combined with the Great Commission, it seems like this is our marching orders. And this ought to be forefront of our mind daily as we get up in the morning, as we commit our time to the Lord in our devotion time and praying and figuring out what he wants me to do with my time today, this morning, when I wake up, this afternoon, this evening, my interaction with my neighbors, my interaction with the people I work with, my family members. How can I bring people closer in their relationship with the Lord through the Great Commission, and doing it by loving God and loving others? Here's a little bit of brief background again, just for review. Down at the bottom, you'll notice I gave the website again, the ppssresponse.com. If you want to write that down, you can go to the website and you can do the little instrument yourself. It's free. You just go to that website where it says Disc Online, click on that. You have to put this access code in there, 891461. If you do that, then they'll send back to you a graded kind of instrument, and they'll also give you some information about the different personality blends is what they'll give you. If you have, a lot of us, all of us have all these in us. This is not something that you're only a D or only an I, but you may have two that you're more alike, and so a blend, or maybe even three, and so the different blends have different characteristics, and Ken Vogus will send you those explanations as well. For the high D, we use the lion to represent that because it's one of the most powerful of the cat family. It's capable of moving quickly when in search of prey. It tends to roar when angry or announcing possession of its territory. It's very comfortable in an aggressive environment. For the I, the otter is the representation animal. And you see there, I still have the website, so if you're still trying to write it down, it'll be up there. Among the most playful and sociable animals on earth, it tends to be quite active and noisy, particularly in groups. When captured young, an otter makes an engaging pet, and it's most often observed creating a playful environment with others, which kind of fits with the high I personality. They're a lot of fun, like my wife. Defining the, yeah, I got to make up for last week. Golden Retriever. S represents Golden Retriever, among the most loyal, stable of domestic animals. Tends to be friendly, reliable, and trustworthy. Is very protective of family members. This is a big part for a high S. Very loyal and protective of family members. Loves being hugged and responds to warm affection. Is most comfortable in a safe, stable environment. And then finally, the C, which we'll do next week, understanding the high C. The beaver represents the high C. It's among the most intelligent of all the mammals in efficiency and technical skills in organizing its domain. Instinctively, a beaver is gifted at solving the most difficult technical problems in building and constructing things, and is very comfortable working alone or in small groups. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of background. If you've been with us for the past several weeks, I think you're maybe kind of getting the idea. We've acted out some of these things. I may pull something out next week as well, just for review. But let's focus upon the high S today. The high S personality, we use a bunch of S words to kind of represent this. It's slower paced, stable, secure, supportive, the reserved, people-oriented kind of people. About 30 to 35% of the population, they say, is in the S category. The biblical examples would be Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which is interesting. You have father, son, and grandson. Hannah and Dorcas. The basic need is security and appreciation. Security and appreciation. And I'm going to add, and you'll see this throughout this, it's sincere appreciation. S's are, they kind of evaluate things. They're observers. They kind of think through things. And so if they feel like you're trying to just butter them up, that's not the kind of appreciation they want. It's sincere appreciation. And obviously, it's their interpretation of it. You may be sincere, but they have to perceive it as sincere. The needs issues of a high S. They need an environment that's free of conflict, particularly in the home. It's very difficult for a high S to survive in a home where there is a lot of conflict and a lot of turmoil in the home. They will more and more pull into their turtle syndrome, into their cave, the more and more that, or just leave. They leave the home. They get divorced. They walk out because I've handled this, I've handled this. Usually it takes years. And sometimes, I don't know if you've ever seen a couple, they've been married 27 years, and then all of a sudden somebody leaves. You go, how in the world did that happen? I thought everything was okay. A lot of times the high S has been loyal and taking it and taking it and taking it and taking it. And then finally they say, I'm done. I can't handle this anymore, and they leave. Obviously, I'm not advocating that at all. I'm not saying that's the right behavior. I'm saying that is the simple response of a high S to the conflict in the home, which is kind of the conclusion of a long period of sinful response to the conflict within the home. The high S has retreated, has pulled back, has not done what they're supposed to do, has not been obedient, and they continue to take it, and then finally they blow up or make this transition, this change. The big thing is they need time to change as well. Loving a high S. If you want to love a high S, here's some things that you need to think of. If you have a high S spouse or a child or a friend or somebody that you work with, these come in slowly. Be non-threatening and patient. This you'll see over and over again. Allow time to process and adjust to change. Make allowances for the family. They are the ones, if you have them working for you, they will be diligent, they will be consistent, they will be loyal, especially if you say, your family is important, I want to make allowances for you. If you need to spend time with your family, we'll allow you to do that. They will say, thank you so much, and whatever you want me to do, I will do that for you. Make allowances for their family. How to relate to a high S. Use friendly tones when instructing, when telling a high S what to do or what you're expecting of them. Use friendly tones. Getting in their face and yelling at them is not going to work. I gave the example weeks ago on coaching, and I had the different coach styles doing the D, I, S, and C. Well, flip that to the player side. If you have a high S player and you have a high D coach, there's going to be some conflict there. The D thinks the way to get the S to move is to get in their face, to yell at them, to kind of motivate them to move forward. High S's, they just start digging their heels in. They may nod a lot, go, okay, yes sir, whatever, yeah. And then go home and say, I'm never going back there again. I hate that. I don't want that. Or they continue to do it, but they dig their heels in. You need to have friendly tones when instructing. Come alongside and say, man, you did great there on the basketball court. You blocked out great. You had great vision on the court when you got the rebound. But what you're going to need to do is you got to get that outlet pass out a little bit quicker, all right? You can do that, right? All right, good. That's the kind of approach you need with a high S personality. Somebody comes up and goes, what do you think you're doing? I cannot believe you start throwing that ball over there. Hey, get out of there. You get in there and see if we can do this any better. Let's go. High S's, shut down. That's it. No way. High D, on the other hand, they're like, all right, coach, I'll do it. Yeah. They're like, that's what I needed. They needed a little energy, but not a high S. That reminds me of somebody had a grandmother here. Was it the Carmona? Who was it? Somebody had a grandmother here. Was like, that guy just up there yelling. What was he talking about? Explain to the people why I'm yelling, I guess. Also, how to relate to a high S. Give personal, nonverbal acceptance and assurances. Assurances and acceptance. personal, nonverbal pat on the back. You saw when I came to talk to him, put my hand on his shoulder like this and let him know I like him. You're a good guy. I'm proud of you. We're going to move forward. That kind of thing is helpful. Getting in their face and getting in, yelling at them, that's not going to work, but come alongside with nonverbal as well as verbal acceptance and assurance. Allow time to process information. High S's are processors. They got to think through it. They got to evaluate. They got to see if this makes sense. And I need to kind of weigh the different things. Some high S's will think through whole conversations. I see a lot of high S nods. Good. They'll think through whole conversations. If I say this, and they'll probably say this, and I'll say this, and they'll it's not worth it. And don't even say anything. Or they have thought through all this, and they get to the point and go, yeah, I'd like to say that because I think that's a good thing to say. But the conversation is all gone. It's too late now. And so people perceive them as being shy because they're kind of quiet because they have things to say, but I got to figure out if it's worthwhile, and it may be too late anyway to say it anyway. I do that a lot, and I'll keep something in the back of my mind in case the conversation comes back around. I'm ready. How to reinforce the high S. Repeat instructions. Let people understand, high S's, let them understand what you want. You may need to explain it again because they want to make sure they get every word, every detail. Make sure I understand exactly what you're asking me to do here. And I may be focusing on this. You may need to repeat again, or I'm still contemplating, I'm still thinking through. I may just sort of set it off to the side for a while. You need to come back and repeat it again to me. Provide hands-on reinforcement. What that means is when you're trying to get a high S to change, it may be that they need to look at some facts and figures to kind of evaluate. If you ask them, what do you think of this car? I'm going to have to open the hood. I'm going to have to check it. I'm going to have to drive it. I may need a week to drive it because, you can't really tell after one day. I got time. I got to be able to feel it and look at it and evaluate it and take some time to set it over here and think about it and then come back and touch it again. I need to walk through it. I need, trying to figure out if you're going to buy a house or not. You got to go in and kind of see it and feel, and because moving is difficult for a high S. That's change. That's a change of environment. So I'm going to have to go in, look at the house, go back, think about it, go back, walk through all the rooms again, touch things, look at everything, go back, think through it again, come back through. High eyes walk in, they go, this is great, I'll buy it. I'm like, wait a minute, we got to think through this. We can't do that. Oh, what's there to think through? Look, it's great. The high S's need some time to think through. Be patient, allowing time to take ownership. That's kind of this whole thing is patience. Allow them to think through it and go, all right. Yep, this is the home. I've thought through it. Now, I'm probably 87% sure this is the right home, but I'm okay with and they're thinking through all this, trying to make sure. There's no way I'm going to be 100% sure, but somewhere in there, I've thought through this and I'm ready. Let's kind of take the plunge. Okay, let's look at some biblical interaction between the Lord and a high S. This is understanding God's style of loving Abraham, a high S, Abraham. Responding to high S, be non-threatening and patient. Allow time to process and adjust to change. Make allowances for family. Recognize their loyalty to their family. This first part comes from Acts chapter 7, where Stephen is delivering a sermon, and he kind of goes at the beginning of the Bible and kind of talks through the history of the Jewish people. And so Stephen says, brethren and fathers, listen. The God of glory appeared to our father Abraham when he was in Mesopotamia before he dwelt in Haran, and said to him, get out of your country and from your relatives and come to a land that I will show you. Okay, so what did God ask Abraham to do? Leave his country, it's a change. Leave his family, which is a change. How clear were these instructions? Pretty clear. Leave your country, go to the land I'm going to show you, leave your family. Go to the land I'm going to show you. That's it. That's the instructions. So what did Abraham do? Come on, Dad. Come on, wife. Come on, nephew. Come on, family. Let's go. And they continued on. Genesis chapter 11, you have Terah taking his son Abraham. They're both going together. Lot, daughter-in-law Sarai, Abraham's wife, and they went to the land, went out with them from Ur of Chaldeans, go to the land of Canaan. They came to Haran, and they stopped there. They hung out there for a while. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and then Terah died. This is significant for several reasons. One, especially during this time, the patriarch of the family, they're the decision makers. They're the ones that are deciding what we're going to do. Even though the Lord came to Abraham and said, I want you to leave your family, I want you to leave your father's house, I want to leave everybody and go here. The high S is saying, all right, we'll go, but do you really think he's saying, don't take dad? I mean, he's the patriarch. He's the decision maker. And I'd feel uncomfortable doing that. And I kind of need him. I need somebody to help me along through this and make sure that we're doing the right thing and going along. And so everybody goes. God, speaking to him, we get to this point, what God's reaction to this whole thing, I don't know if he killed Terah necessarily, but allowed Terah to pass away, and now Abraham is the patriarch. Abraham is the decision maker. And that's hard for a high S, to be the decision maker. Don't mind making decisions. That's not the problem. But it's hard to make them like this, and here we go, and making some convicting kind of decisions. It is, I think this may be possibly what we might ought to do, maybe. I'm not like putting my whole eggs in the whole basket, but I'm thinking possibly we ought to try this kind of thing. A high D is, let's go. He said go, I'm out of here. See you guys later. God said for me to go, I'm on my way. I'll call you when I get there. High S's, come on. Let's all kind of go together. Let's all make sure we're okay. So now Terah has passed away. Here's God, next chapter, Genesis chapter 12. The Lord said to Abram, get out of your country, repeating this, from your family, from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. And then he gives him some encouraging words. I'll make you a great nation. I'll bless you. I'll make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. Wow. Anyone would like to hear that, especially a high S. Okay, I didn't do such a good job, and God's still being patient with me. He still says for me to do this. Now I got to make a decision to move on. I'm going to move on. It's time for me to go. Leave my family and go to land that God is going to show me. What is the tone here? It seems very encouraging. He's been patient, I believe, with Abraham. And the message again, I think, is clear. Get out from your family. I want you to go to land I'm going to show you. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken to him, and Lot went with him. And Abraham took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, and all the possessions that they had, and all the people whom they had acquired in Haran, and they departed to go to the land of Canaan. So they came to the land of Canaan. All right, I'm going, but come on, everybody, let's go. He didn't do perfectly again. I believe if this was going on with you or me, we may get a little frustrated. I thought I made it clear. I thought I told you what I wanted. How would you respond? Well, there's one way. We can say, fine, blow up at them. Nothing personal. I just don't understand why you're doing that. Just make a decision, let's go. Or strategy number 2 was, let's change them. Let's change my husband. He just will not make a decision. Somehow I got to get him to make a decision. I'm going to change him. Maybe there's a better strategy. Let's look at what God did. I think this is a better strategy. Reinforcing, patiently repeat those instructions. Provide hands-on reinforcement. Be patient in allowing time to take ownership. Abraham and Lot were living in the land that God had showed them. This is now chapter 13. There's some strife between their people, each family, and all their workers and stuff. There's strife. And Abraham says to Lot, please let there be no strife between you and me, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we're brethren. Is not the whole land before you? Please separate from me. If you take the left, I'll go the right. And if you go the right, I'll take the left. Typical high S. Is that not when there's strife? Wouldn't that be what most high S's would do, is say, you know what, I just don't like this strife. Let's not, come on. You decide. That's fine. Whatever you decide, I'll do this. Or you just, high D's or high I's, they'll just kind of take control of the situation. High S's are like, I'll let you. You can decide whatever you want to do. So that's Abraham's response. We also notice that the consequences of all that's going on here is God, again, is patiently separating him from his family. I believe if you read through the story of Abraham, and you start in the beginning and you go to the end, that there is something that God is working on in this high S's life. And I believe that he recognizes the strengths and weaknesses of a high S because he's God. He created them that way. And he also sees that this kind of personality, the strength, is their loyalty. Their loyalty, and their faith. Faith in people and faith in God. But high S's loyalty can become so much to their family or to particular things or people or their best friend or their spouse or whatever it is, and not ultimately to God. That my loyalty is trying to make sure that our home is safe and not doing what I know God wants me to do in this situation. God may want me to step up and say something to my husband that may be difficult for me to say. But you know what? I want to just be loyal to my husband, or loyal to my family, and make sure that we have a peaceful environment, so I'm not going to say anything. And so they stuff it for years and years and years and not say anything that they know that God wants them to say or do, because they're loyal to the family rather than ultimately to God. I believe God was shaping Abraham and building his loyalty to him rather than family, rather than Terah, his dad, rather than to his wife and to his nephew, to focus upon his loyalty upon God. So the Lord said to Abraham, after Lot had separated from him, again, seems very patient. He didn't say, Abraham, I have been working on this, and finally I've got you here. He said, Abraham, lift your eyes now and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, westward. All the land which you see, I'm going to give to you and your descendants forever. And then he says, here's that hands-on walk. Arise, walk in the land through its length and its width, for I give it to you. Again, his tone seems patient, kind, friendly, and he gives them additional instructions, and that is to walk through the land. I'm trying to get you this land. I've been trying to get you here for a while. It's been a while trying to get you here. Finally, Abraham goes and moves his tent, and he goes to dwell by the terebinth trees of Mamre, and which are in Hebron, and built an altar there to the Lord. You know how long this took? About 40 years. About 40 years to finally get him there. What does that tell you about the Lord's patience? I am grateful that he's patient. That gives us an understanding of maybe what we're called to do when we're interacting with S's, is to be patient with them, to recognize it's going to be tough for them to change. It's going to be tough for them to move into a different direction and make things different. That's status quo is what a high S is like, and they thrive in. And this is very difficult for them. The goals of a high S, loyalty, especially to family, security, especially those who are closest to them, that status quo, that controlled environment. Now, let's look at how God had developed Abraham and what went on in Abraham, that when he started having his loyalty to God, what that looks like rather than to people. What does it look like when you have your loyalty to God? It came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, here I am. And he said, take now your son, family member, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. Wow. This is a test for any parent, especially a high S. In this passage, God's asking him to offer up a son. The normal response, the sinful tendency of a high S, what high S's tend to do is go, okay, and start busying themselves with other things and maybe put that off to the side and hope that it goes away. Hope that maybe he didn't really mean that. Or maybe he'll forget that he even asked me to do that. And oh yeah, God, I remember you telling me that a while back. I forgot. I meant to get to that. I'm trying to. And if pushed on that issue, the high S's would be likely to suggest a compromise, but still try to avoid making, okay, God, I think I'm getting the idea here, what you're asking me to do here. I think what you want me to do is let you know how much, can I just tell you? I mean, do I have to really sacrifice my son? I think I'm getting it here. Try to evaluate, try to deal. You remember that Abraham dealt with the Lord earlier for Lot and the people, Sodom and Gomorrah. Focus upon family, trying to figure things out, trying to work it out where we don't have the conflict here. But what does he do instead? What does Abraham, the high S, whose tendency is to put this off, to avoid it, to try to change the subject, to try to come up with another solution, he rose early in the morning, tough for a high S, saddled his donkey, took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son, and he split the wood for the burnt offering and rose and went to the place of which God had told him. Why is he doing this? I believe it's because he's loyal to God now. And he came to the place which God had told him, and Abraham built an altar there and placed the wood in order. And he bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. He is following through with what God had said. His loyalty had moved from family and people and things here to God. Remember last time we talked about Abraham lying, about Sarah's being a sister. Focus upon things. I don't want anything to happen to me or my family, so let's just kind of stretch the truth. Now, Abraham is willing to obey God and do whatever God has him to do. If you contrast those actions with what the normal, sinful, fleshly view of a high S, this is difficult for the natural fears of a high S. Thinking about the risks. This is tough. Again, this would be tough for anybody. I mean, anybody in this room, if God asked you to do this, I know it'd be tough for any single person. But I guarantee you, for the high S, there is something more that God is working on his heart on this loyalty issue, I believe, and making sure this loyalty is focused upon God. Okay, I'd like to bring up my special guests. Mr. Emil, you ready? Come on up here. Miss Jenny, come on up here. Why don't we come on up here? Yeah, the microphone, beautiful. Wonderful. Is that one on? There you go. Why don't you come over here, Jennifer? Is that one on too? Can you turn that one on as well? We'll just stand. There you go. Good? Will you turn that on? There we go. Okay. What we've done in the past, when I get to the point of loving the high I or high S, whichever personality type, we kind of bring up somebody, kind of represent that personality type, and ask them a few questions so you can kind of get a feel, put faces with the personality types. Now, again, not everybody's pure high D or pure high I or whatever, but I believe both these two in their charts are pretty high on their S's. So I'm going to ask you both a question. I'll start with the man. We'll start with you and let you answer these questions. The first is, for a high S, what behavior frustrates you the most in other people?
Okay. The behavior that frustrates me the most is first being lied to. I get frustrated when I'm made to rush either through the airport or driving on the highway. I'm frustrated at the way people act when they get in a hurry.
Okay. Beautiful. Miss Jennifer.
In general, being ignored and being invisible because I can be so quiet. It takes me time to formulate what I'm going to say, especially in group settings. But it's most upsetting when I'm giving advice and the receiver ignores or blows me off because I'm so quiet that they don't.
Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, we're just going to run through these questions. Here's the next one. When you're frustrated or angry, how do you normally handle the situation? Mr. Emil.
Normally, I just hold it inside and I just allow it to dissipate over time.
Okay. Jennifer.
When it's not that big of a deal, I withdraw for a while and just get over it. When it's a bigger deal, I bottle it up inside and end up taking it out on others around me. The best release for me, though, is to find a quiet place and cry it out and then pray.
Good. Okay, wonderful. Okay, you have the actual questions? Yeah, y'all both wrote out your answers. You have them? Is that the revised one? Okay, thank you. Figured a high S would have this.
The more you talk about high S's, the more I go, and I really fit into that slot so much.
Well, I remember writing stuff as you're saying all this. And it's like, I didn't want to say that.
You know, the actual answers really don't matter. It's kind of how they're going about this that gives you a clue, doesn't it? You know, in light of that, an aside, I've done these talks, I don't know, hundreds of times, all over, a lot of places. And we have the actual instruments for people to take, and we have the class, and when they do this, before they give me their responses, I know the high Ds are saying, this is stupid. Why do we have to do this? I think everybody's different. And they're all upset at it. They don't like this study at all, most of them. The high Is, I hear some amens. High Is, I have the hardest time getting through this because they want to have fun. Hey guys, I'm high. Are you a high I? What are you? Hey, he's not. And they're just talking. They have a hard time getting through this. The high S's are all steadily, and they're just doing it quietly. The high C's, they're going, I don't know what this word means. I mean, I need a dictionary. You have a dictionary to tell me exactly what, because I need to know exactly what this is. And they're trying to get their dictionary out and talk to one another, and it takes them forever to get it done. That's without even doing the grading of the test. You kind of know who it is. So when you have them up here, you can kind of tell the different personality types. Here's the next question. A typical high S fears confrontation, change, disorganization, dissension, conflict, giving up security. Do any of these resonate with you? And if so, why? And how have you overcome this fear?
Okay, well, I don't like change, but one of the first things, and you got to understand, since I am a high S, I'm going to probably give you the expanded version. So, well, and earlier when you were talking about someone going out and looking at something new, like a house, or let's say I need a new microwave, so I'm going to go to Sears, and the salesman is going to come up and ask me, can I help you? And I'll say, no, unless you want to just stand by me for the next 2 or 3 hours, because I'm going to read all the information on the back, and I'm going to analyze it. I'm going to get the weight, the height, how much input and output, and the size light bulb, everything. I'll look at each microwave there and analyze it and pick out the one that I think is the one I need. So that's just a little extra I put in there. But,
It's free.
well, it is free.
Okay.
I don't like change. My hair's been parted down the middle since 1972. Okay? I will continue to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches probably 5 days a week for the next 40 years if I live that long. I do not like disorganization. When getting ready for a trip, I'll write down first what needs to be taken and everything that I may need on this trip will be packed.
All right, Jennifer?
Okay, I already have the extended version. Why yes? Yes, ideal. It all redounds with me. All the fears, all the fears do resonate with me. The confrontation, the tension, the conflict all along together. My wonderful husband is a very high D with us, pretty much dropping off the scale. You can imagine what we've gone through and that and what these. So you can imagine what we've gone through and what these sermons are teaching us, which has been wonderful. I have a family that has different morals and values than we do. I also have 5 strong-willed children, 3 of which I get in the ring with every day. Change, well, we moved our family more times than the number of years we've been married, and the birth of a baby always brings so much change. The giving up security, I've been a home executive, aka stay-at-home mom for over 6 years now, and Paul has been out of work for a couple times during our marriage, so I couldn't have that control of being able to make the money when he couldn't, or have any of that kind of control. I have overcome most of these fears just by learning to rely on God and His faithfulness to me. The confrontation, conflict, dissension is still a problem for me, though. I do, however, try to remind myself when the fear hits that Christ is strengthening me emotionally and mentally. When it comes to change in this organization, I've had many lessons in this area. I've had to learn to pray through each situation and remember that Christ is using this to grow me and strengthen me, and He is constantly with me, and that I will never go through anything that He Himself has not put in my path. When it comes to the loss of security, prayer and remembering that my Abba Father is in complete control and that He has never left me, nor will I ever go without.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jenny. Okay, next question. What can those closest to you do to show you love in general, or show you love when you're angry, or show you love when you're depressed?
Well, just shortly, just write notes and give hugs to me. I guess in general, when I'm angry or depressed, just leave me alone.
Amen. All right, Jen.
Spending time with me, talking with me. When I'm angry, ask me what's wrong and listen, and ask if I want help with a solution. When I'm depressed, under any circumstances, do not stop calling and asking how I'm doing, even if I do. Because because I'm probably in control mode. I don't want it, but I need it. And realize that even if I do have the answers, that I need to hear them again and again and again and love. Give me time to think, but stay by my side.
Excellent. Okay, last question. If someone close to you is aware of something in your life that's not good for you or your relationship with them or the family, what's the best way to approach you about it? What would you prescribe for them to do in order to best achieve change that involves you?
I'm going to say just simply tell me the issue, perhaps one-on-one, and to achieve change, I would say just pray for me.
Okay. Jen?
Plan to get together with me in a private, comfortable setting. Start off with small talk and encouragement, so I don't feel like you're just coming at me with the problem. And when you do get to the heart of it, use scripture and pray with me about it. And then also end with encouragement.
Wonderful. All right, let's give them a big hand. Thank you so much. You guys did great. I know this hard getting up here. Thank you. I appreciate you all volunteering to do this. You did a wonderful job. Thank you. They did a great job. And I'm going to close with some things that you just heard them say. This is the final 8, and give you the final 8 on if you want to love a high S, if you want to love Emil, you want to love Jen, you want to love me. Again, I want to make sure, those who know me, like Dave Killey, who works with me, or my wife, people around me a lot, they know I'm a high S. Those of you who are here and you see me up front yelling at people in the front row, you may think that does not seem like a high S. I recognized, first of all, I think that I have a spiritual gift of teaching. I don't think that's my natural gift. I think it's a spiritual gift. And I think that God has given me the ability to be able to communicate things in ways that hopefully keep your attention somewhat. And I'm smart enough to know that I can't stand up here and deliver the things the way I feel comfortable with. I have to deliver it the way that you will pay attention and understand. But my tendencies are high S's. I don't need an amen from that, Dave Killey. No. But here they are. If you want to love us, here you go. First of all, recognize our strengths. Recognize the strengths of a high S and be thankful to God that He created us this way, David.
So thankful. I want to do this.
Number 2, even though sometimes a high S needs some nudging to move, nudging is needed. Confrontation, not. And that's hard sometimes for you to figure that out. I know that. You just got to figure it out. Sorry. Gentle nudging, confrontation is not going to produce many results. It may produce some results right away, quickly, but pretty much the S is going to retreat or run away. And even more confrontation will be even more detrimental. Address concerns with friendly tones and sincerity. It's what you heard from these guys. Talk to me friendly, maybe one-on-one, pray for me, but not get in my face. Number 3, in order to get things done through a high S, provide clear expectations. Let us know exactly what you expect and a friendly, relaxed environment in order to accomplish it. Give deadlines, but make them reasonable if you want the job done well. If you give a deadline, high S's will meet that deadline if it's reasonable. If it's real short, I'm going to have a hard time even starting because I know there's no way I'm going to be able to do this done well and right. But give deadlines. Make sure that high S's know exactly what you expect. Number 4, provide a lot of reassurances about relationships. If you have a relationship, make sure the high S is recognized. The relationship's going well, and keep reassuring and keep reassuring. If it's your job performance, high S's need to know, am I doing the right thing? Am I making you happy? Am I following what you want? Am I accomplishing? Make sure that you let them know about how the high S's actions have affected you positively. If they have done something that affected you positively, let them know. They will probably do oh shucks, you don't have to tell me that kind of thing. But they want to hear it. So tell them anyway. Let them know how things that they have done have affected you positively. And make sure that they're sincere. High S's, again, will see through a bunch of the fluff and the smoke. Let them know that it's sincere. And for a high S, part of the things that these two are saying that I would say is it seems more sincere. It may not be more sincere, but it seems more sincere when it's a one-on-one kind of comment. Just then, when I said, let's give them a big hand and y'all all clap for them, they probably thought that was okay. They're probably just relieved to get down from the front. They weren't really caring what you were doing. But if you come to see them later and say, Jen, man, I know that was tough to get up in front of everybody, but what you said, that was really helpful. I mean, I can relate to that, and I've had some struggles too, and I know that she would go, oh, thank goodness it worked. I was so nervous. I didn't know if I was going to say the right thing and do the right thing. If you let her know it feels sincere, that will encourage her a lot more than, let's give Jen a big hand and everybody be clapping. High eyes, the other way around. High eyes are, okay, I appreciate that, but could you tell everybody else that so I could let everybody know that I did a good job? Okay, so it needs to be sincere, but it needs to be felt sincere. Number 5, be patient. You see the patience that is needed. Allow time to process if you want there to be change. Give information regarding the change, as much information as you can, then allow them to mull. As he mentioned, looking for a microwave. Give as much information as you can. He's going to need to read everything. Probably my wife's not here. One of the biggest disagreements that we had, I don't want to say fight, was before we were even married. And she was she wanted some blinds for her apartment. And back then there wasn't a Home Depot in every corner. There was a Home Depot about 30 minutes away. And so we went to the Home Depot. And I wanted to find out. I've never hung blinds before, and so I was trying to help her out. I asked, we looked at all the different boxes. Some you do on the inside, some on the outside, and try to measure how you measure all this, figure all this stuff out. And Darcy and I were trying to figure things out. And then I found a young kid and said, hey, what do you think? And he kind of gave me his information. But he said he worked in the paint department, so I thought, well, he probably doesn't know. And so I went and found somebody else and got them over. And then I found the head of the department. I thought, well, I get some information from him. I got him. So we get in line, and we're buying the stuff. And Darcy's over there going, and she's just steaming. And I have no clue what I have done. I have zero clue. So now I'm mad that she's mad because there's no reason for her to be mad. She is unreasonable being mad because I've not done anything. I know I've not done anything wrong, and I'm mad at her. So now I'm fuming. And we're standing in line. We don't even know why each other's mad. We're just mad at each other. So we get in the car, and I ask her, and she tells me, you asked me my opinion, I gave you my opinion, and you asked 3 other people. She felt that I had disregarded her and her opinion and who she was and asking everybody else. I'm like, that was not my intent. I mean, I didn't disregard myself either. We kind of came to some of the same conclusion. That was not my intent. I did not mean that. That didn't even cross my mind. I thought together we kind of come up with an idea. Let's confirm it with as many people as we can and make sure, because I didn't want to go all the way back. Start to hang those stupid things. They don't fit. Got to drive all the way back. And I want to do this one time. S's are quite lazy. And so they don't want to have to do things that they don't have to do more than once. They just want to make sure that we've thought through this. They lay all the pieces out. They don't want to lose anything. They've read all the directions through, make sure that I've got it thorough. So we're driving, and I'm fuming, she's fuming, and we talked it out. And that helped us, I believe, just that one incident helped us communicate a little bit more, me understanding that I need to make sure she understands that I respect her and her opinion and what she's saying more than anybody else, but I need her to allow me the opportunity to kind of confirm and verify and ask some other questions too. And so we've kind of worked on that kind of balance. So make sure that you have time to mull, get the information. You may have to provide that information several times in different ways in order for the highest to feel comfortable with the change. You have to explain something today, and then in 2 days, explain the same thing, just a little different. And in 2 more days, explain it again a little bit differently. Think through it, give me more information, and let me kind of think through this. Number 6, high S's are not comfortable with sharing their feelings. Not comfortable with it. However, sometimes they really want to. As Jim was saying, call me, ask me if everything's okay, ask me how things are going. And you may have to ask several times how a high S is feeling or what's wrong, and during a lot of nothing. What's wrong? Nothing. And if you stop there, then it seems like you don't really care. You ask me once and that's it. And then you walk off after I said nothing, then you really don't care. You should have asked 7 or 8 times. Then I might get the idea that you might really care to know how I'm doing. Everybody else is thinking, I asked the question, you answered it, I've moved on. Why do I have to ask 10 times? Because we need to make sure that you're sincere. So we're going to test you. You may have to ask several times in order to pull out a substantial answer. It may be nothing or Well, I don't know. Is everything okay? It's fine. Are you sure? Well, yeah, just leave me alone. Okay. Okay, you must not really care. You've blown it. I gave you another opportunity to ask again, and you didn't ask. You're going to have to ask 11, 12, 13, and try to get me to convince you, yes, I'm fine. Everything's fine. You don't need to ask. Okay. And then you can move on. I promise you. If you acknowledge and encourage a high S's affection for family and provide sincere compliments and appreciation, there's that word sincerity again, you will gain a loyal and dependable follower. If you want somebody to be on your team, to be loyal to you, to follow where you're going, if you say, man, you have done such a fantastic job. We need you so much. And you've done a great job doing X, Y, Z. I gave you this direction. You did a great job. Again, they're going to go, oh, shucks. But at home, inside, they're going, oh, thank goodness. I made them happy. They're happy. I feel like I did it. I accomplished something. And I can't wait to get back tomorrow to do more. I may not show that enthusiasm. I may not come, hey, guys, I'm ready to go. It's not a high S. That's a high I. High S is just kind of plod back in and continue doing it, but I need a pat on the back. Let me know I'm doing a good job. And finally, a high S's loyalty and steadfastness are the traits of incredible, unwavering faith. These folks typically have a very strong faith. Strong faith in people, may have strong faith in you, but especially in God. When this faith is focused upon God, a high S is an example to us all. God will use a high S to keep us staying the course, to keep us focused, keep us going in the right direction, not let us waver, not let us get off course, but keep going the course. Hopefully, as you get to understand one another and understand how to love one another, that you can do things that may be out of your own comfort zone, like asking somebody 8 times the same question, because I want to love this high S. It's not about me. It's not just about what I feel comfortable with. Not that I think this is irrational. It's not that I think this is stupid. We all have our strengths and weaknesses of different personalities, and that's the goal, is to be able to love one another the way God loved Abraham, the way God loved Paul, the way God loved Peter, and next time we're going to see how God loved Moses. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, our heart and our desire, that I think I can speak for each person here, is that we do want to fulfill what you have called us to do. That is to love you and love others. And with the goal of bringing people into a relationship with you that only comes through your Son. We thank you that you have loved us enough to love us the way we need to be loved, that you have sent your Son to die on the cross, that he could forgive us of the sins that each of our personalities commit. We are human beings that let our strengths get out of control and they become sin in our life. Help us not to use that as an excuse, to slough it off to the side, to not care. But I ask that you use this study to expose the sin in our life that we may not even recognize as sin. We may call just a personality quirk. But it is sin, and we want to acknowledge that before you, ask you forgiveness, and ask that you would make us clean and that we would allow the Holy Spirit to temper our strings out of control so that we can best be used by you, Lord. I lift up all the high S's in this room and ask that you would continue to focus our faith and our loyalty upon you, and that we can be example to others because of how you have built us, how you have made us, Lord. I lift up others who have high S's in their life that they are reaching out to love. I ask that you give them the wisdom and discernment and ability to love the way you love people, Lord. We thank you for your word, and we thank you for the example you've given us. Help us to be diligent and responsible as we love others and love you. In your Son's name that I pray. Amen.